You know, like the dream of like one post could change your life, or one video could like really change your life. And I do think that exists, but I think like to some extent it's like you got to know you got to know how to like work social media and how to really like use it in your favor. And that's something I still haven't like even mastered myself. A lot of artists that are getting like led astray due to social media, they're more so focused on like trying to get their name out on social media than the actual message of like what they're trying to say or what their brand stands for and stuff. This is actually a really dope thing. So I was watching Curb Your Enthusiasm. One of the dudes on Curb Your Enthusiasm, he had a shirt on. It was by this artist named Daniel Johnston. So Daniel Johnston was a guitar player from Austin, Texas, and he suffered from schizophrenia. And he would just like he would make like these home recordings and record himself, and then he would give out his tapes. And he kind of became like popular because Kurt Cobain like wore one of his t-shirts. But he kind of was like relatively obscure and stuff throughout like most of his life. So recently, Supreme did a Daniel Johnston collab where they took like a bunch of his artwork and put it on their t-shirts and shit. So I was watching Curb Your Enthusiasm, and not Larry David, the other guy, JB Smooth, he had on a shirt that had a Daniel Johnston logo on it, basically. And it just made me think like Daniel Johnston had one of his paintings on HBO. But so seeing stuff like that made me realize like, oh, numbers really kind of don't matter. Because that dude had like such a cultural impact in a way that's like different than like everybody else. I don't know if that's more important than numbers, but for me personally, the older I get, the more I'm like, I want to do something like that. What social media promotes can be like the wrong thing. What social media promotes is just like people clicking on it, or just like their most immediate reaction or instinct and stuff like that. Like for example, right, when Mos Def said Drake was a pop rapper, or Drake's music is pop music and shit. So in that same interview, Mos Def talks about the Sudan Civil War, which is a very serious civil war going on in the Sudan. So it's not only the fact that the civil war is serious, but there's like a lack of Western media attention on it. And I felt like the fact that Mos Def saying Drake's music is pop music, that was the part of the interview that like went viral, as opposed to like Mos Def talking about the Sudanese, civil war and stuff. So it is interesting seeing like what messages get promoted at times. Well, it could be a whole number of things, because I've like wrote lines where it's like it could be too serious, but then I've also had lines where it's like I'm not being serious about a very serious topic, and I'm just like, oh no, this doesn't sound like good. Honestly, most of the best political lines that I find is not even stuff that I think of my own. It's just like when I have a discussion with somebody and it'll be something like the other person said. Like for example, like I have a line, I was talking to the guy who produced for Makami, August Fanon, and we were basically talking about the difference between racist nationalism and like the Black Power movement. I don't know, I had a girl in college who like couldn't tell the difference. She was basically telling me that like the Black Panthers were a black supremacy group, and she was basically telling me how is that different than like the Ku Klux Klan, which is a white supremacy group. I don't know, there's a whole essay there in like really determining the difference between that. I mean, like one has to do with the Ku Klux Klan committed actual, crimes of racism, whereas like the Black Panthers didn't really do any of that. They just like uplifted their own communities. So, but just from that, the conversation I had with August Fanon on the song BET, I had a line where I said, don't compare Black power to racist nationalism. And I feel like that's one of like the best political rap bars I've ever rapped, because that's something I feel like I've listened to a lot of rap music and I haven't heard anyone actually say. And I'm just like proud of that line, because it's like a sentence, but there's like a whole thought that can, there's a whole conversation that can come from that sentence. And I feel like that's the best like political rap lines. It's not really like breaking down everything that's going on, but just almost like a point where you could like jumpstart from, I guess. Not telling people what to think, just like giving people a direction as to what they should research.
What? Couple young brothers, couple young Okay. Yeah. You didn't even say that with confidence that time.
For y'all niggas coming. Is that, you know what I'm saying? Alright.
Hey, I'm telling you.
If you give me the pass, I'll use it.
Bitch, if you gonna say it, you use it every day.
Alright.
Say it like you used to say it. Oh, hey. Nah, what you ain't gonna do, you gonna say my nigga.
Okay.
I ain't nobody's nigga.
Alright.
Get the fuck out of here.
This was ammunition. America runs on ammunition, with no interrogation for the culture when we just go along with the tradition. I would shape shift into natural water to make a garden glisten. Tear it down instead of building, reacting to what was given. Do not compare black power to racist nationalism. My girl left me for my reflection. In the mirror I see perfection. I wouldn't drop the low like Ralph Lauren's summer collection. My tracks got trouble leaking like urinary tract infection. The bomb shelter in an alternate dimension where I'm nesting, playing Styles P and Otis Redding. The less popular opinion gets jumped over in older weddings. What you're saying depends on if you know the setting. No pretending. I think my mother was codependent. No one to blame when you got the L like Death Note. Your best quote was my next joke. They looking at me sideways like their neck broke. This that ether that was burning slow. Driving through your borough though. You met her outside the school where the nurses go. Certain to know you were undercover like Serpico. Learning slow. The raw paper looked pregnant with a fertile glow.